Were there none who were discontented with what they have, the world would never reach anything better.
Wise words there from Florence Nightingale. Hello and welcome to Literally Victorian. As you may have guessed, today we will be talking about Florence Nightingale. When we hear the name Florence Nightingale, most of us picture a quiet woman moving through the dark halls of a military hospital, carrying a lamp, tending to wounded soldiers. But what's often forgotten is that Florence Nightingale wasn't just a comforting figure. She was a fierce reformer, a pioneering scientist, and one of the great innovators of the 19th century. So this time around, I would like to tell you her story. Not only how she became the lady with the lamp, but how she transformed nursing, data science, and public health forever. Florence Nightingale was born in 1820 into a wealthy English family. She was named after the Italian city of Florence, where she was born while her parents were travelling through Europe. Her upbringing was privileged: tutors, fine clothes, country estates. In Victorian England, women of her class were expected to marry well, host social gatherings, and leave the serious work to men. But from a young age, Florence was restless. She was brilliant at mathematics, languages, and philosophy, and she felt, in her words, a calling from God to serve others. That calling shocked her family. Nursing, at the time, was seen as menial work, something done by uneducated women, often viewed as morally suspect. For a woman of Florence's background, to say she wanted to be a nurse was scandalous. Her parents forbade it, and for years she struggled between duty to her family and her growing sense of purpose. But Florence was determined. She studied hospital reports and medical statistics in secret. She visited hospitals across Europe, learning about sanitary reform. And finally, after years of pressure, her family relented. In 1853, she became superintendent of a women's hospital in London, and soon after, history would call her to a far greater challenge. In 1854, Britain went to war with Russia, the Crimean War. Reports from the front lines shocked the public. British soldiers weren't just dying from battle wounds, they were dying in droves from infection, disease, and neglect. At the request of the government, Florence Nightingale gathered a team of 38 nurses and travelled to the British military hospital at Scutari, near modern-day Istanbul. What she found there was beyond belief. The hospital was filthy, overcrowded, and chaotic. Men lay on the floor in their own excrement. Rats ran freely through the wards. Clean water was scarce, and basic supplies like bandages were missing. The stench of disease filled the air. Florence immediately took charge. She reorganized the kitchens, demanded proper sanitation, arranged for clean bedding, and ensured that fresh air and water reached the patients. She worked tirelessly, often through the night, and that's when soldiers began to notice a soft glow moving through the dark halls. They called her the Lady with the Lamp. Under her leadership, the death rate in the hospital fell dramatically, from over 40% to just 2%. But Florence didn't stop there. She meticulously recorded everything: the number of patients, the causes of death, the effects of sanitation. She was determined not just to heal the sick, but to understand why they were dying, and to make sure it never happened again. When she returned to Britain, Florence Nightingale was a national hero. But fame wasn't her goal. She used her public influence to push for massive reform. At just 35 years old, she sat down to write one of the most extraordinary government reports ever produced. Notes on matters affecting the health, efficiency, and hospital administration of the British Army. It was 830 pages long and filled with detailed analysis, statistics, charts, and recommendations for reforming army hospitals. And it wasn't just words. It contained one of the most striking visual tools of the 19th century, her polar area diagrams, sometimes called coxcomb charts. These circular charts used colour and shape to show how more soldiers were dying from preventable diseases than from wounds. They were beautiful, clear, and devastatingly persuasive. Florence Nightingale, in many ways, invented data storytelling, turning numbers into arguments that policymakers could not ignore. Thanks to her work, the British Army overhauled its sanitation system, saving countless lives. In 1860, she established the Nightingale Training School for Nurses at St Thomas's Hospital in London, the first secular nursing school in the world. Graduates from her program spread her methods from across the globe, professionalizing nursing and transforming it from a disreputable job into a respected and essential profession. That same year, she published Notes on Nursing, What It Is and What It Is Not, a short, clear, practical book that's still in print today. It wasn't just for nurses, but for anyone caring for the sick at home. She emphasized cleanliness, fresh air, quiet and compassion, principles that sound simple, but at the time were revolutionary. Florence Nightingale continued to work for decades, even after illness confined her to bed. From her room, she advised governments around the world on hospital design, sanitation, and epidemic prevention. Her work influenced public health systems in India, the United States, and beyond. But perhaps her greatest legacy is the way she bridged compassion and science. She showed that caring for the sick was not just about kindness. It was about knowledge, discipline, and evidence. She used data to make the invisible visible, to prove that hygiene and public health were not luxuries, but necessities. And she did all of this as a woman in a society that doubted women's intellect and authority. She faced obstacles, prejudice, and isolation, but never lost her sense of mission. When she died in 1910, at the age of 90, she refused a state funeral, ever humble, and was buried quietly near her family home. Yet her light has never gone out. The Nightingale Pledge, taken by nurses around the world, still echoes her values: service, integrity, and compassion. So when we picture Florence Nightingale walking through those dim hospital wards, lamp in hand, let's remember that her true light wasn't the one she carried. It was the light of reason, science, and humanity she brought into medicine. She once wrote,
I attribute my success to this. I never gave or took an excuse.
Florence Nightingale's story reminds us that change begins not with grand gestures, but with the courage to challenge what's wrong to gather the facts and to act with compassion. And that's a light that still guides us today. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe if you love the content. Until next time, bye for now.